Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. The Midway Point is a heartfelt coming-of-age drama that explores identity, belonging, and emotional growth through the lens of a young man navigating life on the autism spectrum. Set in modern-day California, the film captures the struggles and beauty of adolescence, friendship, and first love, reminding us that sometimes one connection can change everything. A wonderful narrative film called The Midway Point. We're joined today by the director and writer, Lucca Vieira. Lucca, welcome to Cinemophile.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
It's a wonderful look at young love. It's people trying to kind of find their way in the world, especially at this age. You're in high school. All these things most of the things that are happening to you physically, mentally, psychologically are all new. And just kind of figuring it out while you're trying to figure your own personality out at the same time. What was the inspiration for the Midway Point?
The midway point was kind of just born out of experiences and thoughts I was having in high school. Having grown up on the autistic spectrum, I had obviously my fair share of struggles, especially in high school, where you're kind of in between childhood and adulthood in a way, hence, the title, The Midway Point, which is kind of in reference to that. And I was just wanting to make something that was genuine and that was almost commenting on this kind of alienation I was feeling and observing in others, especially telling a story about a condition or a disability or without making it about that disability per se. I wanted to make a story that was genuine and that featured something but wasn't precious to it. I wanted to make a human story. So I spent probably the better half of my junior year of high school writing this, which was over the pandemic at one point. Spent a year and a half pitching it to anyone and everyone I could in like my little South Florida town. And about a year and a half later, I randomly bumped into a producer who was a friend of a friend, and he introduced us to another producer, and then another producer came along, then another, and it basically just snowballed from there.
Well, in terms of telling a story, it's not said out loud that the main character in the film is dealing with autism. I mean, this is obviously a conscious decision on your part, but you give us kind of the circumstances that would lead us to at least a sense of awkwardness about interaction with the people around him. Tell me a little bit about sort of that part of telling the story. That why was that an important to not kind of shine a spotlight on that?
Sure, and that was definitely a very deliberate, conscious decision on my part. I wanted to showcase autism in the way that people experience it, people
Yeah.
with on the spectrum, whether it be like high functioning or even in a broader sense, neurodivergent people, they don't constantly think of themselves as being autistic like every single day. Like they have so many more qualities to them and issues to worry about. So I wanted to showcase that and kind of get inside the main character Jake's head a bit, and also just showcase his inner struggles, his inner turmoil, and also his inner beauty along the way, because there's a lot more to someone with autism than just their autism. I definitely wanted to showcase that.
Yeah. In order to do what you did, the film is essentially about these two people, Jake and Alice. It's also about the circumstances of being in school, as I said in the introduction, kind of figuring things out, and very accomplished performances on the part of both of your leads. Sean Ryan Fox plays Jake, and Catherine Daddario
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
plays Alice. What I really appreciated about their performance is that they seemed genuinely awkward. That sense that this is anyone who's lived through this period of their life, most people who
Yeah.
have gone through a version of this that is very relatable in the film. And while they're both good, they work together as well. I mean, even though they don't exactly fit together as characters in the film, over a period of time, they come to like and respect each other. But I thought that was a really well done part of getting these performances, getting that sense of reality. I guess that's the right word. The sense of believability out of these performances. Let's talk a little bit about what your sort of your notes were to these particular actors.
The main thing going into this, especially regarding Jake's character, was I didn't want to reveal explicitly, especially when we were doing casting, that he was autistic. I wanted the performance and the script itself to kind of tell the story. And, we struggled a little bit with finding kind of the right tone for Jake. But, I have to say that Sean really knocked it out of the park. He immediately understood the character, immediately understood the mannerisms and kind of like his inner headspace, which really was a great service to the story and into the film itself. And one thing that is I always say is that the film isn't necessarily about autism, even though it partially deals with it. It's
Yeah.
about the human experience of being alienated and being kind of on the outside and
Mm.
finding connection through that. And with Catherine, she was also amazing, and we had so little time to, I remember, prepare, and they just had some great chemistry together and immediately understood the character. Catherine, I always told her that I wanted her to kind of be like the opposite of a manic pixie dream girl, which is kind of like the person she thinks she wants to be, but
Hmm.
it's really just, a facade, something she uses to hide her inner self, which is something that she discovers later on and that she has to kind of deal with.
Yeah, and there's that part of the story as they get to know each other and as the story unfolds, there's some cathartic admissions in the film. Don't usually ask directors this question, but did you shoot this film in sequence?
Not really. I feel like parts of it were shot in sequence, but we overall just it was a very quick schedule, a couple weeks to shoot only. I think the ending sequence where they're in the parking lot and
Yeah,
well, no spoilers, but
yeah, yeah.
that was shot, I believe, on the first day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I remember being so worried about their chemistry not reading through, and luckily, through a mix of just movie magic, as they call it, it just rendered really really well on camera, and RDP Noah Luke really pulled through with some of the shots.
Yeah, I do want to make note of the cinematography on the film because I thought it was really well done, especially if this is your first feature and finding that to me, and I've said this many, many times before, the most important person on set besides the director is the cinematographer and that relationship that they share, being able to do that. Because it really is well shot. And it gives us the job of a good cinematographer is not just getting pretty shots, but in framing the film, framing the characters is to tell the story as well. You're telling a story visually and through what you're hearing, and I thought I thought it really worked well. And you're shooting in a lot of locations for, again, you're shooting at school, you're shooting outside a lot. This was filmed in Florida.
No, this is filmed in LA,
Oh,
the LA area. Originally the plan was to film in Florida, but logistically it was just it would just have been a harder time. So
okay.
we tried to play it as California, but not make it specific to like a certain location or a certain place in the country.
Also, another character slash actor that you brought into the film, Thora Birch, who we know some from some amazing films, including Ghost World, which is a just still holds up. It's a beautiful film that she co-stars with Scarlett Johansson and Steve Buscemi. I couldn't say his name.
Yeah.
Just a wonderful film. She's been in a lot of stuff. Getting her as part of the project, that had to feel like a real home run in terms of bringing her in as a character. She plays Jake's mom, Christina.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, I don't know if she was even among the actresses I considered for Christina. I think originally what ended up happening is we had Vanessa Shaw cast, who co-starred with her in Hocus Pocus, and also starred in Stanley Kubrick's last film, Eyes Wide Shut, of course.
Yeah,
And I had a great conversation with her. I remember talking a lot about Kubrick and just filmmaking in general. Unfortunately, she ended up being booked on something else that would take up much of her time. So we ended up casting Thora Birch in her place like a couple of days before shooting, and luckily she loved the script and we had a great time
good.
on set. And Thora's just a lot of fun. She's very funny and just very down to earth.
Yeah.
And she's just a fun character to be around.
Great. Well, yeah, I just nice to see her. I haven't seen her of late, so it's always good to see such an accomplished actor in a good role, doing a great job. By the way, I just want to quickly remind our listeners we're speaking to Lucca Vieira. The film is called The Midway Point, and I believe it is, I don't have my information right in front of me as to when it will be screening. I apologize. Where can people see The Midway Point?
Yeah, so the Midway Point is going to be released May 19th. You should be able to pre-order it right now on Fandango at home and I believe also on Apple TV Plus. Keep your eyes open, I guess.
Again, you mentioned there's a quick mention of Kubrick there. I see behind you, and people can't see what I see. I see The Shining right behind you. I see Lost in Translation. And is that a Jarmusch film? The is that behind the other on the other side of The Shining?
No, that's a Safdie Brothers film, Uncut Gems.
Oh, Uncut Gems. Okay, okay. So are those I mean, in terms of the directors that you admire, you
Stanley Kubrick is pretty much the reason I got into filmmaking in the first place. I remember watching 2001: A Space Odyssey when I was probably 10 years old. It was just like a really bad quality MP4 file of that film. And I remember just being so blown away by just the vision and the sheer art of it. And I instantly knew right then and there that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to become a filmmaker. Lost in Translation was obviously a huge influence on this film, the Midway Point, just in terms of tone and mood and cinematography. Another big reference in general that my DP Noah Luke and I had was Y tu mamá también, just the handheld camera work that added kind of like a naturalistic quality to it. Krzysztof Kieślowski's work, very much inspired by,
okay.
especially the Double Life of Veronique and the Three Colors trilogy. Yeah, I'm influenced by very heady psychological movies and directors, and I really like to get into a character's head
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate the film because the sense of humanity, the interaction of these two main characters rings true. It is about adolescence, friendship, and love. It is all of those things and finding your way in the world. We all struggle. We all find our way somehow, some way, whether or not it's always the best for us, but we do. We're always looking. So congratulations on the midway point, and I look forward to more. Hope you'll come back and join us again. We're speaking with the director and writer Lucca Vieira. Lucca, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mike.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.